So for this week's video presentation, I chose to talk about the personality layer and the external dimensions layer of the four layers of identity. I chose the personality layer because the personality layer is also inclusive of the other three. The other three really help you grow in your personality, your dislikes, your beliefs, and your values. So personality for me was all encompassing, and I feel like I have a good grasp on that uh, because of my native Hawaiian identity. The native Hawaiian culture teaches very, very, very important values that I hold very dear to myself, and that really, I mean, by far have shaped me into the person I am today. Um, the native Hawaiian culture is a very interesting and passionate culture. You are taught to respect your elders. You're taught respect for the land, for nature, for harvesting, uh, hunting and fishing. You're taught to provide for yourself. It's your duty to provide for yourself. You don't need to rely on others to provide for you if you can do it yourself. And native Hawaiian culture is also very, very spiritual. There's this notion that your ancestors are always around, um, and they're watching. They're looking after you, and they're guiding you down the right path. It's almost, the same idea as God, uh, but on a less scale, obviously, where your ancestors know you're going to mess up, and they've learned lessons before you that you're not aware of, and it's their job to help you learn the same way they had to learn. So these really help to structure me as a person. I mean, hunting and fishing, just growing up, uh, are invaluable to my identity. They've taught me so many life lessons. Mainly, my dad was the primary one who really taught me how to hunt, and my grandfather, my dad's dad, was the one who taught me fishing. He taught me Hawaiian methods for fishing, like Hawaiian netting to catch octopus. It's I've always enjoyed the fact that I'm able to provide for myself and that I'm comfortable hunting. And if, you know, stuff was to hit the fan tomorrow, I'm comfortable going out into the wilderness and surviving. I know that I can run out there at any point in time and be fine. And for me, that's one of the things I value the most is I don't have to rely on a lot of things that other people rely on. And it's because of that culture that I was brought up in. Being Hawaiian, that's of the utmost importance. Before Hawaii was liberated, people lived out in the wilderness. Honolulu wasn't there. So it's harped upon that Native Hawaiians are very aware of harvesting and harnessing the power of nature and understanding it, and at the same time respecting it. Um, and there are a lot of ways that Hawaiian culture is reinforced in my life. Being that my whole family is Hawaiian, it's reinforced every day for me. I have an uncle who, two uncles who are 180 degrees different from each other. One uncle is extremely book smart. He has no real passion for his culture. He doesn't really care where he came from. He doesn't have an appreciation for it, but he's wicked smart. He went to Stanford. He's an engineer. Um, Makes very good money, but like I said, he's missing the cultural aspect of things. And then I have the uncle that really helps reinforce the Hawaiian culture into my life. Um, he is extremely smart as well, but he was always more interested in social science. He's very well articulated. He knows how to express how he feels, and he's been in school to learn Native Hawaiian. He wants to be a teacher in Hawaii, and uphold and keep teaching the culture of Native Hawaiian culture to younger Hawaiians who are going through the public school system. It's very important to him that because Hawaii was liberated by the United States, he doesn't want white America to take over the Hawaiian culture that's present there. It's so rich, it's so colorful, and to Hawaiians it's a necessity. We don't want to lose it. And so he is very, very passionate about making sure that Hawaiian culture stays taught in Hawaii. This course has made me very aware of how racist and discriminatory Hawaiians are towards whites, simply due to the culture differences of Hawaiians and whites. A lot of people are familiar with the idea that Hawaiians harness a lot of hatred and harsh feelings towards whites, or more specifically who we Hawaiians call mainlanders, who are primarily from the other 49 states. I don't know if a lot of people know or not, but Hawaii was a state or a country that put up a lot of resistance in being liberated. Native Hawaiians had no interest in being the 50th state of the United States. They still don't. They really don't like it. But then at the same time, there was nothing that Hawaiians could do when it did come time for whites to come to our country and try to liberate us and militarize our country and build giant cities that polluted the atmosphere around the place we loved, cutting down trees on sacred grounds for shopping malls for people to shop at and go buy Chanel purses, or I don't know if Chanel makes purses, I don't know, but you get the gist. I've never really thought about it from the perspective of this class. This class has given me a lot of tools to really sit back and think about race and culture and how it impacts our society and Hawaiians as a whole, which leads into how the internal dimensions have helped to shape me and how I view people and judgments I pass on them. A lot of Hawaiians, like I said, if you're white, chances are you're going to be judged and put into a group of people that we didn't want coming to Hawaii to liberate Hawaii and militarize it and yank our culture out from under our feet and force us to be a culture within the United States. There are also external dimensions that are present in my identity due to being Hawaiian. What we do for work, is very, I don't know how to describe it, straight and narrow. There's things that you do in Hawaiian culture that you are, it's not looked down upon to work in, and then there are areas that is looked down on to work in, and one of those areas is the military. Because Hawaii was unwillingly liberated by the United States military, there are very, 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 very negative feelings towards the military. I can tell you now that in the state of Hawaii, the military is looked down on. Nobody likes the military, and if you're a Hawaiian and you serve in the military, you can essentially be considered an outsider. You can be, I'm drawing a blank on the word right now. You can be disowned pretty much from the Hawaiian culture. People really don't like the military, and I've run into that in my past with Hawaiians and talking about, um, if you see a Hawaiian here in the United States, it's a custom. You have to stop. You talk to them. You talk to them about where you're from, what you did, where you grew up, where you went to high school, all of these things. And so I've run into Hawaiians here in the States that have found out I joined the military and told me I wasn't a real Hawaiian, that I was, a disgrace to the Hawaiian culture, and they were very, very, very harsh in judging me simply because I joined the military. There's a lot of learning that I did from that, or there's a lot of insight I gained from running into those types of scenarios. I feel like I am an improved version or more modernized version of Hawaiians. I take pride in being Hawaiian. I really do. I love Hawaiian culture, but I also take pride in my American culture. So to me, I'm an American first. ISIS would have no problem coming to Hawaii, right? They would have no problem going to Utah and hurting people. They'd have no problem going to Florida and hurting people. And because Hawaii is included in that, I feel it's my duty as an American to help protect the culture of the United States, which in turn will help to protect the culture of Hawaii. So there's still one more category within the Hawaiian subset that I was talking about that I need to speak about, because it could have had the opportunity, or it could have had the potential to influence me a little bit more into becoming the person I am now, but I just simply never had the ability to take advantage of these opportunities due to never living in Hawaii. So there is a national Native Hawaiian registry. All you have to do is prove that you are a Native Hawaiian, and you can receive a card. It's almost like a privilege card. And what that does is it gives you a lot of different benefits. For example, there are Native Hawaiians in Hawaii that are registered to the same registry who are single, no wives, no children. They have nobody to pass down Native or Hawaiian land that they have rights to. And when they die, what can happen is people can buy up their land, right? Their land might go to auction, and somebody might buy their land. So what this registry does is it's actually gifted to the registry by or willed into a person's will. And what the Hawaiian registry does is make sure that this land in Hawaii that was owned by Native Hawaiians is passed down to other Native Hawaiians, because what's most important is not that the land goes to somebody that you know. It's that it goes to somebody that you can trust. And in Hawaiian culture, we know that we can trust each other, and we want to keep and preserve as much of our land. Because there is so little of it left, we want to preserve as much of it as we can. So that's one of the benefits that you can get from being Native Hawaiian. And as you know, it's not as important to Native Hawaiians, but land in Hawaii is very expensive. I mean, if you have 2 acres of land outside of Honolulu, you could be talking millions of dollars for land. We, as a family, my dad and I, have 10 acres of land in Hawaii, right outside of Honolulu, that is worth a lot of money. But it's been passed down to us. It's been passed down from generation to generation. Houses get passed down in Hawaii. Cars get passed down in Hawaii. There's a culture of taking care of the younger generation, and the younger generation taking care of the older generation, to make sure that we are preserving the lives of each other, right? That's one of the most important things in Hawaiian culture. It's also pretty cool. opportunity with schools in Hawaii. The richest school in the entire country is in Hawaii, and it just so happens that you have to be native Hawaiian to be able to go to this school. It's called Kamehameha School District. You actually, I believe, to get into it, you have to show your birth certificate, or you have to give blood samples or DNA samples or some sort of, I think you can use like family tree sites to show that you have native Hawaiian roots, and that will get you admission into the high school, middle school, or the elementary school. But you can only go if you're native Hawaiian. That's an opportunity that I never got to take as a child and as a high school student, just simply because I never went to school there, or I never lived in Hawaii, so I never had the opportunity to go to school there. Okay, so I hope it's going to be easy to hear me out here. I'm actually at work right now. Had some free time, and I figured out I would knock out this last identity that I feel is pretty important to me as a person. It comes from the external dimensions category, mainly because it's really influenced my decision making. It was a career choice for me. By the way, there's cars passing down the road, so I'll see if it's easy to hear me still with all the cars going by. If it's not, I'll have to re-record it. But anyways, back to what we were talking about. I chose this identity because it was a career move for me, and it really has influenced friendships. It has really influenced what I do for work. I mean, it's pivotal. I wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't for this. And it definitely would influence me if I was a boss or in a leadership role. How I looked at my workers and how it influenced promotions in the future would definitely be influenced by me being in the military. So the military identity is huge for me. It's structured a lot of the beliefs, values, and the attitude that I have at such a young age. It's made all of that deeply ingrained in me. So I value a lot of things like that can-do military attitude, where I don't care what it is, I don't care how hard it is. I've learned in my past 5 years in the military to give everything the best shot that I can, give it my hardest effort, give it my all, and see where I land. And usually I'm pretty happy with where I end up landing. If I fall short, it's also easy for me to be content with it, because I knew that I tried the hardest I could have, and I'm content with that. Gave me a lot of discipline. The military is, when you go to basic training, you're taught to be attentive, you're taught to have a lot of attention to detail, and a lot of military discipline. And the discipline's important because it really gives and adds a sense of professionalism. So I have a very hypersensitive sense of when I'm at work, I know and am aware of who I'm speaking to, how I should be speaking, and I'm always thinking about that. And that discipline that was built into me within the military has really helped me develop as a professional, working and building relationships with people. On top of that, it's taught me, work ethic. I've got a great work ethic now. Not to sound cocky, but when I was 18, I had a lot to learn. I've never had a real job before. Joined the military, and stuff got very serious. In the military, your job is your utmost priority. I mean, when you're deployed, and my job is to get planes to fly. Planes are pretty important in a war. They provide ground support to people who need help or who are in contact with the enemy. So it's pretty important that you know how to do your job. I mean, people's lives literally are depending on your job. So there's a high amount of integrity that you're required to have as a member of the military. There are points where you can be micromanaged, but there's also points in your career where nobody's directly watching or supervising you. You are required to have the integrity to do the right thing at all times. And so those are the sorts of things and the values and the attitudes that I've gained from the military and really have been super influential in shaping me as a person. it's also been challenged by my Hawaiian identity due to the fact that Hawaiians hate serving. Hawaiians hate the military, and I touched on that in the earlier segment. But it's very controversial to be Hawaiian serving in the military, and I've caught a lot of heat for that, and it's caused me a lot of grief with extended family members that I'm not very close with. A lot of my immediate family, my grandpa, my grandma, my dad served in the military. Caused me a lot of grief because it's kind of hard when your family doesn't believe in what you're doing, and they openly voice that to you. It took a lot of time for me to get used to it. Now I'm content. You know, I consider myself kind of a hybrid Hawaiian, or a hybrid Hawaiian. I just take the best from the Hawaiian culture, and I believe in serving, and that's what I do, and I don't really worry too much anymore about the implications, and the challenges that come from being Hawaiian and also serving in the military. An interesting thing this course has really done for me so far is it's also opened my eyes to the discrimination that can happen in the military. It's kind of weird because everybody wears the same uniform. Nobody looks different when they're at work other than the color of your skin. But racism is still present, and it's more subtle. You never see it in the military. But all it takes is one boss that is racist or is discriminatory towards a certain race, and you know, there are channels that you can go through to mitigate that and to cause that to not happen anymore. But there are instances where even higher than your boss's boss's boss may be discriminating against you, and there's not really a whole lot you can do when you get that high, you know. So this course has really opened my eyes to the fact that racism is very subtle. I always viewed it as something that was blatant. You know, someone came out wearing a white top hat with eye holes cut out, a white gown, screaming, "I hate black people," that would be racist. That's not the case with racism nowadays. It's very subtle, and I've noticed when I am out and about this last week working at the military base, I was a lot more aware of discrimination and subtle racism, and it's pretty apparent out there now that I'm thinking about it and I'm making a point to look for it. It's a lot easier to tell the difference. So I'm happy that I had the chance to make this video. These identities, I mean, these are the two most influential identities that I feel I have, and I feel like they correlate in the sense that they challenge each other. There's not really a lot of reinforcement between Hawaiian culture and the military. So I figured that those two things would be great things to talk about in my video. So that's that. I won't keep you any longer. I know my video is already like 18 minutes long or 19 minutes long, something crazy. So sorry for such a long video, but look forward to hearing from you guys and what your guys' takes on your identities, how they've influenced you. I'm looking forward to seeing that. So, alright, well, talk to you guys later.